Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 41 of our Let's Play series, Stalingrad to Berlin, War in the East 2. You may note that yesterday, this particular Let's Play did not have an update. For those who may have missed it in, I think it was episode 38 and 39, we talked about this. We're adding in more War in the East 2 content, so I'm going to be alternating release days for the two Let's Play series. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, please take a look. We've got a 1941 Soviet Union Let's Play campaign going on the channel, we're not going to dive into mechanics or anything like that. It's just going to be my best attempt at trying to survive as the Soviets in 1941 and continuing on. I intend to play through all the way, just as we will in this series. Whether we lose or win. So we now have two different Let's Play series going on the channel. And as a reminder, we'll be introducing a third Let's Play in the coming weeks for a game yet to be announced. So stay tuned for more updates on that. When that happens, we will continue having daily content on the channel. But every third day, each Let's Play will have a new video coming out. So it will mean that for this particular playlist, you'll have to wait 2 days in between content. All of that clerical stuff aside, let's jump right back into where we left off. We're in turn 21, which is April 8th, 1943. And in the previous episode, we had gone through and executed our air phase and ground movement phase quite far. We made great time, great progress on pushing all along the front, even past Vorel, Aryol, and now we're kind of in that Kharkov and working our way down to Stalino area. So we had talked about how the 6th Army continues to be reinforced. A number of the units are still on refit status, as they're trying to build back up, and some probably even should be put on refit status. Let's see, there we go. That's just a brigade, so you're fine. These are on refit. So we're not going to have much luck over here doing too much. You see, we've got good defensive lines against any type of counterattack from these Hungarian divisions that are here. This Hungarian armored division really is one of the last bastions between us having a breakout here. As well as the LAH SS Panzergrenadier Division, which I think has now stayed there for a turn or two. It had moved up north from Stalino, I recall that. And I continue to be anxious of being able to take this 2-lane rail line going north-south to improve our supply situation, but today is not the day. So, looking down here as we get to the 3rd and 2nd Guards Army, we see that we had actually pulled back in some of these areas where we had pushed them, and they're now sitting on the other side of the river. That's fine. We had a couple of units where we were also trying to, in these armies, refit a little bit, because we've had a lot of casualties, and because of the delays in getting the railroads back up and running south of Stalingrad, it's taken a little longer than usual to get these back up in TOE. You can see for some of them the supply situation still isn't great. So I think here we're probably going to give it another turn. They've had great progress, but I'd rather get these a little closer to a full fighting force. Back here, the 66th Army, they have been on refit ever since coming down from Stalingrad. I'm going to add these to refit as well. Honestly, most of them just need to be on refit. Okay. 9th Rifle Corps. How are you doing? Yeah, you still need to sit there. So, we could... I'm trying to think if we want to push here at all. I don't think we will, because note some of the fatigue levels here, they're already a little high. And like this rifle division, it's not exactly in a great position with only 6,000 men. So I think we're actually going to take that rifle division off the line, because right now they're only contributing a defensive combat value of 2 to the front. So we're just going to take them off and bring them down here, I think. And I think same with 96. And then this tank core is on refit. That's good. Yeah, supply situation's getting tough over here. So we have a rail repair unit we're going to be taking a look at and starting to try to repair some of these lines, which should really help out then in future turns. We see that they have the 5th Panzer Division and 3 Panzer Divisions are focused just right here. That's a little alarming. So I think what we will do is take this stack and just do a general withdrawal from that line. And we'll now hold here. And then I think we will take this stack and we're going to have them do a hasty attack just to push back this one unit, the Sturm Brigade. Okay. And then we're going to pull the entire stack back. Actually, I might just reposition them south, actually. So let's do this. Let's take this 51st Guards. Let's move them here. So we captured a depot. Yeah, okay, so they're a little weak down here, so we're going to move them here. And then we're going to take this rifle division, pull them up. Okay. Now, the difficulty is the 17th Panzer there. It's going to give us a lot of headaches in terms of a counterattack potential that they have. So let's see what we can bring up to help reinforce that. I think we're going to take the 4th Guards Mechanized Corps. So now we at least have 13. But I still don't feel great about that. So let's take the entire stack back one. So we've taken that crossroads. It's now technically our hex. But I don't think we're in a strong enough position to be able to hold it against counterattacks. So we're just going to fall back from the line. And another reason for this is, look, we have 1 unit that's in bad supply, 2 that are undersupplied. That's not the situation we want to go into fighting against a Panzer Division that's looking to counterattack us. So we're just going to hold there. We've got a number of forces that are still in the rear here, some of them on refit, and we're going to let that stay as is because we're not going to be able to push through any of this. We've already exhausted much of the movement points of these units, and look at their fatigue and how high it is, so we just have to leave them right where they are. We don't really have much of an option there. We could pull them back, I suppose. Yeah, you know, let's do that. So here we have 21st Army. So let's take... I'm going to take this tank corps. I'm going to pull them back to this hex. I'm going to take the 2 units that are part of the 21st Army and have them come up here. Ooh, I kind of pushed them to exhaustion without really looking at that. Look at those fatigue levels. Ooh. And then we're just going to take the 204th Rifle Division and pull them back to that line. Okay, feel pretty good with that. And we're just going to have to hold out a little here as we continue to get these units refit. You can actually come off refit and you can move up because you're in a great spot, it looks like. Let's then take the 77th, swap you back on refit. Okay. Down here near Stalino. So, yeah, they're doing some moving. So this is interesting because they had much more of presence here along this pocket in previous turns. And I'm curious if we can maybe move up now and take advantage of that. so let's take you guys here. I'm wondering if the Cavalry Corps, it does not have enough to push through. Take the whole stack? No, not really. Take that whole stack, move you up. I think that'll probably be okay. Again, supply continues to be a concern there, but that will be what it is. Down here, this is just so disappointing to see. Our combat value is so low on these strong units, and I think I'm trying to decipher if it's TOE related or if it's supply related. I think part of it is that, take for example the Mechanized Corps, they only have 1/3 of their medium tanks, which is a bulk of their fighting force. So I think it's probably a combination of factors. We're going to keep the press on though and move up some of these stacks of divisions, 'cause they don't have anything that can counterattack. So we're just going to keep going here. So now what we've done is we've cut off this rail line that goes down here to this port. So that's good news. Wondering if we take the cavalry, can they make it there? Doesn't look like it. The mechanized can, but that seems like putting them in a pretty tough position. And we've already cut off their lines, so we're going to leave that as is. Down here we're going to move up this 18th Army HQ, as well as the 9th Army HQ. Okay. And let's just see where our depots are here and here. Okay. Oh, I continue to forget what I'm doing with you. I think I had reassigned you. Yeah, I reassigned you in the previous turn. Because you were going to go to Crimea. That's right. Let's now bring you over and start moving you up towards the front, because you're in a pretty good supply situation and TOE situation. So that's all the movement in and around Stalino. It's really kind of dull compared to the last episode in terms of combat here on the southern front. I apologize about that, but it's just this entire pocket of our forces. We really need to get a lot of them refit and resupplied before we can push on. And honestly, the Germans have quite a bit of counterattack potential here with some of these stacks that they've deployed. I mean, here looking at 3 Panzer divisions, that's been pretty rare in our gameplay. 4 actually, it looks like they have 4 in total, just in this stretch of 3 hexes. They can do a lot of damage with that if they find an opportunity to push through. So we're just going to hold where we are. One of the reasons too is if we look to the west, if we were to break through here, okay, this is another one of those situations. You guys have heard me say that okay so many times on the series, but it honestly is the truth of, so we got a couple of hexes of just clear terrain, no important cities. You can maybe make the argument we're putting a dagger in between their 2 lines here of the northern defense of Kharkov and the south of Stalino, maybe, but we'd have to get pretty far to really start to have an impact on that. So we don't get much. There's not much for the squeeze there if we did push hard. So we're just going to hold. I think it'd be better to get in a good resupply position and try to break out here south of Stalino. Which is going to be hard because these units are going to be a ways from getting good supply until they take this port. My hope is now that we've isolated that, they will also start to encounter supply issues and we can kind of push through. And if we get that port, it's really going to help us with supply. Let's continue on now further south to the Crimea. So we still haven't made contact with any of their forces, which is good news. Let's take this naval unit and... Yeah, we're getting into this mountainous terrain here, so it's getting a little tough. We're going to have you go on this south road. Going to have you go over here. I think I might just have you stay on that port, maybe? No, we'll have you keep coming down. And then up here... I know I'm pushing these guys to exhaustion, but I really need to... I need to just push through here. Especially since, if you recall, in their air execution phase, we had saw that they were actually doing air resupply. Let's see if I can find it. Right about here and here. Which was a bit of a concern, because that might mean that they're trying to quickly get forces down to this part of the Crimea to cut us off. And we don't want that to happen, right? We want to be able to break through. Alright, so we've got those moved. Over here we had a couple more units that we were bringing in from the Rostov front. It's just taking them a while to get down, that's fine. So I think we have all the units here by the Crimea moved. Nope. Yeah, I think we do have them moved now. So that's good. I just wish these guys could go faster. They're getting really close, though, to being able to at least cut it off so that way we can take Sevastopol without any notable resistance. But I'd really like to, as we talked about, leave one army to defend here. And we've got a total of 3 armies committed now to the Crimea. Leave 1 to defend, and then take 2 to push towards Odessa. And just see how far they can go, right? Like, can they get to Bucharest, right? Can they get over to Budapest? All these questions. I don't think they're going to make it all the way that far. But if we can put pressure at least on Odessa, that really then gets the AI thinking about, well, do I want to have the Soviet player pushing up from the Crimea? Because I can continue to allocate more armies from here back, especially once I get these rail lines reestablished. We can do rail transport and quickly get things over here. I could then push south, or excuse me, north from the Crimea, which is in their south, and kind of cut off Stalino and have a little bit of a Stalingrad 2.0 with cutting off Army Group South. So it's something that they're going to have to watch out for. Let's take a look now at our rail repair units, which the shortcut is Control 9. And let's turn on the rail overlay here to see where we want to focus our attention. So those HQ units look like they're going to that port, so that's good. Boy, I really can't believe I missed this. That was a big error on me previously. I'm wondering if it's worth heading that direction to repair that. These 3 right here, right? Because that disconnects then all of this. I think, though, we're going to continue south towards Krasnodar and on towards the Crimea. And we're just going to focus on the one line, and then we can double back and go the other direction. I think that will be the plan. So we'll turn off the rail mode. Go up here, repair. The usual. Okay. So we got a total of 3 fixed there. Then we can get to Krasnodar the next turn. We'll go south through here, straight onto the Crimea. I think that'll be the plan. We also have one up here. This one gets a little more tricky. Because we have all these stacks of units, it gets a little hard too. So I think we will go here, repair that, repair that. We'll then take you off the line, move the rail repair up. Okay, so we've repaired there. Before I forget, I'm going to move that rifle division back. Repaired that rail. have more here to do. So let's take the brigade back, move them up. And yeah, let's move that mechanized over. Mechanized down, rail repair up. Okay, so now we've repaired these three, all of these here, and then we'll continue repairing all of those rail lines. In this unit, we're just going to keep moving north to keep repairing all of these. And hopefully by the time we get up here, we've taken more of this rail line and we can eventually then connect it. That would be a big win if we're able to do that. So that's good. And I think another thing to emphasize is one of the reasons we do have such a difficult supply situation right now is we just recently got a lot of this repaired to the Stalingrad route here in the north. And you're the one that did that, and I'm wondering now if I move you to another area of the map where we might have more concern. Where are my other rail repair units? I have one down here. Not hurt to have something over here as we push towards Peskov. That might make sense. I don't know that I need two actively in this little pocket. Just don't think that's a necessity. So let's take the rail mode and let's start moving you north. So have you go all the way up there. And then that gives me enough time then to change my mind about the decision as they're halfway there. All right. So that takes care of the ground movement phase and rail repair. Now, let's talk HQs for a moment. So we had a great comment from John in one of the videos, and he focused on two things: assault HQs and rifle corps. And rifle corps is something I've actually gotten feedback on from a number of users, and they are absolutely right. I'm not leveraging rifle corps as much as I should right now. So what I want to do is for the second half of this episode is go through, do a bit of an examination of our HQs, what their command capacities are. Do we have the right number of HQs allocated to each front? Right, because in the Soviet side you have armies, then you have fronts, and then those fronts report to Stavka. So there's kind of those three tiers you have to consider. And then after we've taken a look at the HQs, then I think we'll go through and see where there are opportunities maybe to say, let's make some rifle corps. So what we're going to do is toss on the hotkey is L, Control L, for command efficiency and command quality. And I want to do the show command quality to demonstrate something here. So let's take a look, yellow, green, colors that normally say, okay, that doesn't seem so bad. But then, oh my gosh, what is happening here, right? Why are all of these red? So let's try to address that. What it comes down to is we have the Western Frontier, right? And here, these blue lines are all the HQs that are assigned to the Western Front. The command capacity of the Western Front is at 237 out of 150. That's a problem, right? That we are over our command capacity for the Western Front by a lot. And it kind of comes down to two reasons. One is we've moved armies to other fronts and we haven't allocated those armies to the proper front, which is evident up here. The second is when we've brought in the reinforcement armies, right? The new armies from our reserve theater box, for example, or when we redeployed from, say, Stalingrad, we did not appropriately look at to say which front has capacity to take them. So you compare the Western Front with 237 out of 150 compared to the Bryansk Front, which is up here, and they're 65 out of 90, right? So we could probably take an HQ or two, an army or two, and assign them to the Bryansk Front. And the Bryansk Front then would be okay. On that note, I'm actually going to move that front a little closer to the front line, I think. I think I'm going to move them. I'm going to move them up here. I'm also going to move the Air HQ there too. But let's take the 61st Army, right? And let's assign them to the Bryansk Front. So that's better, right? Now when we look at the Western Front, it's only 211 out of 150. Okay. Now let's go up here and see the 10th Guards Army does not belong in the Western Front. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Now I could pretty quickly say, okay, well, you're sitting in a stack of HQs that are all part of the Northwestern Front. Maybe it makes sense for you to be part of the Northwestern Front. But when we look at the Northwestern Front, we see there's 66 out of 90. And when we go up here to the Volkov Front, we see there's 62 out of 90. And when we look at the Leningrad Front, we see they're 32 out of 90. I want to do a bit of a shuffle of more armies being part of the Leningrad Front. Then I want to have more armies move up to be part of the Volkov Front. And we're going to continue that pattern because the situation we have to alleviate is the Kalinin Front. We are going to continue to add more armies to the Kalinin Front because the Kalinin Front is the one that we're trying to break out and push on Riga with. Right, so that's why we need to transition some of these armies up towards the Northwestern Front, which is right here. And we'll move the front down to reflect the fact that, right, geographically it's more representative of this pocket, not this pocket. So let's go ahead and start doing some of these. So we want to look at the Volkov Front. We're going to take a look at the HQs that are belonging to it. And the first opportunity I see here is the 8th Army, right? It's sitting practically in Leningrad. So we're going to take that 8th Army and we're going to assign it to the Leningrad Front. Okay. Then we're going to take probably the 54th Army and also assign them to the Leningrad Front. And let's now look to see how the Leningrad Front's doing. 62 out of 90. They still have room. So we're also going to take the 4th Army and assign them. Actually, no, I'm having a thought here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the 4th Army and I'm going to move them south towards the Kalinin Front, because in the Kalinin Front, we have a number of armies that actually have way more command being used than they have capacity for. I mean, you click on just about any one of these and they're way over their limits. So we're going to take that 4th Army and we're going to move them south to the Kalinin Front, and we're going to take the elements that belong to the 4th Army and attach them to a different army. That will be the plan there. So, for example, the 2nd Shock Army and the 59th Army both have capacity to take units from the 4th Army. And actually, while I'm on this theme, I'm also going to take the 2nd Shock Army and do the same thing. I'm going to move both of them down towards the Kalinin Front. Yeah, it should really be noted, too, that these are the types of things I should have noticed much earlier on in the game. Yeah, so let's take the 2nd Shock Army. And wonder, can we move you via rail? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So let's actually take, trying to think here. We're going to take all the units that are currently assigned to the 2nd Shock Army and assign them to the 59th Army. So this 18th Rifle Division, 59th Army, '59th Army for you as well. And are we still doing okay? Yep, so we can still do one more. 59th Army. Okay. So then we'll take the 2nd Shock Army. I'm going to begin moving you south towards the Kalinin front. Okay. And just so I know that I am going to do that, I'm going to assign you to the Kalinin front. Yeah, we'll do that. The other one I had was up here, right? It was the 4th Army, I think. Yep, so the 4th Army has 10 assigned to it. And I think we can probably get those 10 assigned to things like the 55th Army and such like that. So, 4th Army is the one that is going to go south. So let's actually hop you on a train to go south towards the Kalinin front. Oh, was so close. So a quick note, by the way, we've talked a lot about rail transport needing 100 strategic movement points to unload from the train. That actually decreases if the hex that you're trying to unload in is a rail yard. And as you can see here, this city actually has a rail yard in it of level 1. So that's why it would only cost 55, but we only have 52, so we're not able to unload it this time. But I'm going to assign you now to the Kalinin front as well. This is all very administrative, and I do hope that it is not too tedious for the viewer. So the 54th Army So let's see here. The 4th Army is the one that I'd moved down, right? I think it was the 4th Army. Yeah, it was the 4th Army. So the 54th Army can take 1. So let's put you with the 54th Army. 54th might be able to take 2, actually. Yeah, I can take another one still. So we're going to take the 44th. Also assign them to the 54th. Okay, so now they're at 18 out of 18. We hop down here. Where do we still have units? Right in here, part of the 4th Army. 1, 2, 3. And we are going to put all of them in the 52nd Army. Here, 52nd Army. Sixth Rifle Division, 52nd Army, and lastly the 71st Rifle Division goes to the 52nd Army. I need to check that now. I think it's the 52nd Army. Yeah, 52nd Army is where I want them. Okay. Wow, lots of moves, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So the Leningrad front has 66 out of 90, so I still want to take an entire army and move them over to the Leningrad front. And I think we're going to take You know, actually, I'm wondering if I don't take the Volkov front in its entirety and just move that down towards Kalinin. That might make more sense. I think we're going to do that. So when I look at the Kalinin front, we have 190. And we're still going to add to it the 5th Guards Tank Army. Are you already in the Kalinin? You are, okay. So I wanted to get to this a little later, but I'm going to do it now so that way we can see the consequences of it. So in the game, as the Soviets, you can have 3 assault fronts, and it's labeled here on the hex when you've selected a front. And right now, we currently have, I think it's the Stalingrad, the Southwestern Front, and another that's escaping me right now, all labeled as assault fronts. Now, an assault front has some great benefits. So it increases combat prep points, the pace at which you get them. Artillery gets more ammunition. That's kind of a lesser thing, but still important. And the support checks that the computer runs for leadership, right? So like checking to see if it's going to rout if we lose a battle instead of just retreat. Those types of dice rolls in the background, they're improved with an Assault HQ, but it also increases the capacity of not only the front and how much command points they have, but also all of the army HQs that exist underneath the front. All of their capacities are increased. A consequence of having the assault front, other than the fact that you can only have a limited number of them, is that you can never fortify higher than a level 1 fortification, right? So it kind of goes the whole theory, right? You're an assault front, you're meant to be moving and pushing forward. So you're not going to be able to dig in as well, right? Is kind of the theory behind that. Now, normally the Soviets have 3, but I believe in 1943, it actually unlocks so we can have 4. So let's test that. Set assault. It's going to cost 20 AP. We're okay with that. And now we see that our command capacity is up to 150. Yeah, so I think we're making some good decisions here. So that's up to 150 now. And if we take the entirety of the Volkov front, that gives us another 90 capacity. So I think this is going to work out very well. So I'm going to take the Volkov front and move them down south here. And for a turn or two, they're not going to have anything assigned to them. Actually, do they have an army all the way over here? It looks like it's an air base. It's assigned to them. Okay, we can come back and investigate that later. So now we just have this Leningrad front up here. And I think we're going to take these 2 HQs and assign them to the Leningrad front. Let's start with the 59th Army, assigning them to the Leningrad front. Okay. Let's see how our capacity is looking. So they're 82 out of 90 now. Okay. And then we have over here, the Northwestern Front. They have capacity, so we're going to assign the 52nd Army to the Northwestern Front. And we are 78 out of 90. All right, this turned out very well. I'm very happy with this. And this was a lot easier, too, than having to move all of these HQs around. Moving all of them up a little bit, right? I'm also going to take the 14th Air Army, and I'm going to assign them. I think I might assign them, actually, to the Northwestern Front. No. No, so each front here is going to still have an air army. I'm actually going to take the 14th Air Army, and I'm going to move them down south with the Volkov front, now that I think about it. And it might take you a little bit to get down there, but that's okay. In this air army, right there, I actually don't think I can see it from here. But I don't think the 14th Air Army is as large as the others. So we're going to move them down here, and when we do that, then the AI assist will then follow the planes and the air bases. They'll follow the ground HQs. So, specifically the Volkov front. Okay, this is going well. The Volkov front, let's actually see. I know you can rename these, but I can't remember how. I might have to do it in the commander's report, but I feel pretty sure that I can rename these. So those are just the colors. Let's go to the commander's report real quick and see if we can figure that out. That's the transfer schedule, commander's report. And let's look at front and Kalinin front. Yeah, it just brings me here. I will research that one. But I do think I can change the name of it. Let's try this again here. Can I right click? No, I can't. Okay. But what I would like to do is to rename these so the Kalinin front actually equals, say, the Riga assault front or something like that. And then the Volkov front can then be supporting armies that are kind of building out the front line in this bubble that we're kind of creating out to Riga. Is kind of how I'm envisioning this going. So let's take another look back to map info and take a look at the command quality icons. So this is now all a little blurry, but these are all now yellow, which I think is just good because they're not, they're not well below capacity, but they're not over either. Then we see here that we get into red, and I think all of these are assigned to the Kalinin front. No, the Western front. The Western front's the one I've forgotten about. Yeah, okay, so we have some units here in the Western front that should not be part of the Western front, is really what this gets down to. It's like here, you're part of the Western front, and you should not be. You actually should be part of the Northwestern front, but I fear I've already put the Northwestern front over capacity. So let's put the 10th Guards Army to the Northwestern front. Okay. And how are they sitting now? 99 out of 90. Not great, but not good either. Where else do we have? You're part of the Western front and you should not be. You, I think, maybe the Volkov front can kind of be here on the north edge, maybe? Would that maybe make sense? Volkov front is the northern push and the Kalinin front is the southern push. Let's see. I'm getting myself all wrapped around here trying to follow some of these. Another thing that I'm seeing is I think I might take some of these armies and combine them. It's like here the 34th Army has 7 out of 18, and the 27th Army has 8 out of 18. So if I just take everything that is in the 34th Army and assign it to the 27th Army, they're still within capacity. I think that would make a heck of a lot of sense. So we're going to do that. So 34th Army goes to the 27th. So let's take you, assign you the 27th. You also go to the 27th. Okay. And there was one more unit that I had in here, right? 2 even. We'll also go to the 27th. Where was the last one? Right here. Alright, so you're part of the 27th now. And now I can take the 34th Army and move you south. And we will have you be part of the Kalinin front. No, the Volkov front? Probably the Volkov front. Because the Kalinin front's over capacity, and I need to start moving things to the Volkov front. So we're going to move you to the Volkov front. Good. Good, good, good. Now the Kalinin front also has... Yeah, I guess you're okay. 43rd Army. Where are your units? They're all down here. You know, honestly, I'm not sure I'm even going to get through all of this in this one turn, so we might have to save some of this for another episode, which... Maybe we'll have to just do some of this optimization a little piecemeal. So the second shock army is still moving south. Okay. Zooming back out here, though, the Western Front, you should not be part of the Western Front. We're going to have you be part of... I want to say the Northwestern Front, but the Northwestern Front's already kind of stretched. Let's take the first shock army, move you to the Volkov Front. And then you part of the Western Army, the 31st, or excuse me, the Western Front. You're going to go to the Northwestern Front. There we go. Yellow all the way up here. Except for you, because you're part of the Kalinin Front. And now we can start assigning some of these armies to the Volkov Front. And I think I am going to do the more northern armies go towards Volkov. So we're also going to take the 39th Army and say you're part of the Volkov Front. And how is 38 out of 90? So we still have a ways to go. Let's then also take maybe the 3rd Shock Army. Where's the 3rd Shock Army? Where are your units? 3rd Shock Army is all over the place. But we will make you part of the Volkov Front. Okay. So now we're at 65 out of 90. So we could still do another one probably. Let's take... the 1st Tank Army. I don't know about that one. What about the 5th Army? Let's do the 5th Army. Take the 5th Army and have you go to the Volkov Front. Okay. How close is the Kalinin Front to being under capacity? Okay, good. They're under capacity. So they're good. Excellent. Excellent. Now what we can do is we will we'll do this, I think, in the next episode. The armies that are over capacity right now, like the 5th Guards Tank Army is a perfect example. Next turn, we will then split those out to some of these new HQs that are coming down. That's what we'll do. So, like, for example, the 34th Army, which is part of the Volkov Front, currently has no units assigned to it, nor does the 4th Army. right? So we'll split off a lot of units into these. Maybe I even do that this turn. Yeah, let's see if we can get some of that done. So let's take elements of the 5th Tank Guard Army and assign them to the 4th, no, not the 4th Guards Army, the 4th Army. So let's take maybe these motorized units. Yeah, let's take these 2 mechanized and have them go to the 4th Army. 4th Army. I haven't even thought of this, but the other thing we're going to have to look at now is like leaders, and do we have the right leaders with the right elements, right? So example, armored generals with armored units, etc. I think we'll take one of you, also do you to the 4th Army. Or are you out of range for that? You might be out of range for that. Because I don't see the 4th Army listed. But you actually have movement points that you have not exhausted. But you can't go any further forward. Okay. What was another HQ that we had way over here? So that'd be the 2nd Tank Army. Okay. And we have here the 4th Army can still take units, actually. So the 4th Army is going to become a bit of a mechanized unit. So we'll take some of you and attach you to the 4th Army. Because the Tank Army doesn't necessarily need rifle corps, for example. So let's also put you in the 4th Army. Now the 4th Army, when we look at it, 24 out of 24. Okay, so now we can start dumping things into the 34th Army. I highly recommend to the viewer that attempting to do this with a pen and pencil might be a little easier. I commend that upon you. So we still can take a couple out of the 2nd Tank Army. Where are their units? First Tank Army, 2nd Tank Army, here we go. Let's assign you to the 34th Army. And the 2nd Tank Army still is going to need another unit moved here. Where are my other? Kind of want to take this mechanized corps and put them there, but I also don't want to interrupt their distance from their HQ and such because they're on the front line, so I might wait on that one. Let's take a look now at the 5th Army and where we have opportunity there. So you're part of the 5th Army. 5th Army is a bit of a tank army, isn't it? Oh, there's that rifle division there. So we're going to attach you to the 34th Army. This is so much easier if you maintain this stuff turn to turn, guys. It really is. But I did not do that, so we're assigning a lot of these over to the 34th Army. Okay. So now when we look at the 4th Guards Army, they're under. 5th Army is under. A lot of these are now under. This is good. We're going to take a look, though, at the 3rd Shock Army and see where your guys are. 3rd Shock Army. Rifle Division. Let's put you... Yeah, we're starting to actually run out a little. 4th Shock Army, I think. Where is the 4th Shock Army? There's the 4th Shock Army. Yeah, I don't know. They have the room for it. Just a little hesitant. So the 3rd Shock Army is over and the 4th Shock is under. So let's take Stephen a brigade though. Still will switch you over. 4th Shock Army. You know, we have had some amazing progress here. I think I might call this quits for now. And we're going to continue this in a future episode. I think this will be a multi-step process to go through, because we also have some opportunity down here, right, with the 6th Army. Actually, who do you belong to? The Voronezh Front. The Voronezh Front has 108 out of 90. Whereas down here, the Southwestern Front. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Southwestern Front. Oh, this is just such an opportunity for us. And where is that blue line going to? That airbase again. Okay. The Southwestern Front, I'm even gonna just move them to the southwest, because I feel like that's a logical decision. And the 17th Air Army with them. But we're going to take this HQ and assign you to the south. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing again. The 6th Army is going to go to the Southwestern Front, excuse me. There we go. So that should help a lot. And down here we're actually looking pretty good. Aside from, as I say that, 56th Army, what are you attached to? The North Caucasus Front. And you're okay. The issue is the 56th Army is way over its capacity there. So I think we're going to take some of you and move you to the 47th Army. And also we're going to move these HQ units up. Yeah, okay. Let's take... I don't want to take the guards necessarily. Let's take this 339th. We're going to assign you to 47th Army. 30th Rifle we're going to assign to the 37th. And the 11th Rifle Corps we will assign to 47th. Oh, it's the 56th Army now. Okay, 18 out of 18. So you're good. You guys are just behind the 8 ball there in terms of keeping up. Okay. All right. There's one last thing that I want to go over before we close out the episode. This was another comment that we had gotten, and I apologize, I forget the user's name at this exact moment, but they had asked if I could turn on and show you this right here, which is the city capture dates on off. And I think we had this on in a previous episode earlier on in the series. I can't recall though. But I just wanted to toss the overlay on for a moment and walk through it a little bit. So I myself actually, as a player, I like not having this on because I have a decent enough understanding of the history of World War II and the Eastern Front, but I don't have enough of it to know Oh yeah, Stalino. You know, Stalino was recaptured by the Soviets September 8th of 1943. Right. That's not information I have sitting in my noggin at the ready. Um, but it can be a great guide to you as the player of, here, are you doing well or are you doing poorly? So like here you can see historically the Soviets didn't recapture Stalino until September. So we've got a couple of months still to even take Stalino. When we scroll up a little further, like I think Kursk was a good example, you see here that it was actually February 8th of 1943 that the Soviets took it. Well, that was 2 months ago. So we're a little behind the historical schedule when it comes to Kursk. You'll also see some of these areas where you have two sets of dates here, and that's actually where it flip-flops. So early on in the war, the Germans captured this November of 1941. Soviets recaptured it in December of 41. And then the Germans captured it again in July of 42. The Soviets took it back in February of 43. So in some of those boxes, you're going to have multiple dates there. And the one that I wanted to look at to see how we're progressing is over here in our push towards Adritsa, right? Because I think cutting off Riga is so important. Look at all of these dates. They're all summer of 44 and fall of 44. So we are almost a year and a half ahead of schedule in pushing towards Riga. Now, we haven't taken these yet. But you can see we've already taken things that they didn't capture until February of 44 or July of 44. So I'm optimistic that that's a good sign that we're heading in the right direction, right? We're going to turn on our AI Depot Assist as we always do at the end of the turn. And then we're going to hit end turn, let the AI do all of its stuff, and then we'll close out the episode because it's getting a little long. So in this turn, we'll skip past some of these supply runs that are being made. We didn't get a chance to touch on rifle cores, so I'll try to do that in the next 2 episodes. But the very Cliff Notes version of it is you can take, and I think you have seen us do this in the game already, where I'll take a couple of units and I'll not break them up, I'll build them up. And there's this little icon here for that. And it then combines them into a larger order of battle unit. So for example, instead of divisions, it could be a corps, right? Creating rifle corps has a benefit because in terms of the men and combat value and all of these factors that you gauge the strength of a unit, you get more bang for your buck in terms of the command capacity that it has on the HQ unit. So a lot of those situations where we're trying to smooth out some of those command capacity limits in the armies can also be alleviated by just making more rifle corps. The other benefit is you can get 3 rifle corps in 1 hex compared to having 3 rifle divisions, right? It's approximately 3 times as strong if you get 3 full strength rifle corps in a hex compared to 3 full strength rifle divisions. It's about 3x in terms of the combat value. So there's great benefit to doing that. And you can then further multiply this, and I think this was Misha in the comments that had pointed this out. You can then further expound upon that by those rifle corps attaching to them support units that are rifle brigades, adding thousands of more men to the fighting force. And that's how you can kind of create some of these super stacks, if you will, that can break through some of these heavier parts of the German line that to date we really haven't tried to break through. We've just focused on spearheads trying to go around their strong points, right? We've had that methodology from the get-go. But building rifle corps is something that I should probably be paying a little bit more attention to, because I probably do have more opportunity where we have congested front lines to break through simply by combining some of our units into a rifle corps. So we'll look to continue to do that throughout the gameplay series, and I'll try to make a particular note of it at the end of turn 22. Looks like they're counterattacking in Stalino, and unfortunately they are having a lot of success there. They also counterattacked, where is this? I think this is just south of Lake Ilmen. Yeah, this is north of our push towards Riga. So they had one successful counterattack and then one where we held. We held again. I don't know if we're going to be able to hold a third time, though. Yeah, so we retreated on the third attack. But I think we inflicted a good number of casualties to their panzer division. So I'm optimistic to look at the battle reports and see if it looks a little better than it sounds right now. Big counterattack they have here, but we managed to hold. If they do it a second time, I don't know if we will. Good to see more action from the German player here in this turn. I think in the previous they had only counterattacked in 2 spots in total, and they are certainly not doing that now. This is down south by Smolensk. They had pushed a little further forward in that pocket that they've been exploring, so that might have to be something that we do continue to react to. And then we get to the end of their counterattacks now, I believe, where they're building out their defensive line. I'm hoping this stays like it is and we can... Wow. Oh, never mind. You see, I shouldn't say these things. I jinx it. That was looking all empty. I was getting all excited about this mad rush to Peskov, just like we did to Rostov. But alas, no. The AI did indeed put a front line there to defend everything. Let's get past some of their air resupplies. And then we'll get into our logistics phase before we close it all out. Okay. So the Germans had a couple of successful counterattacks. Again, my mindset on that is if every turn the Germans beat us back in 5 hexes where we lose a hex and they counterattack and they have a good victory, right? If they do that 5 times every turn, but if we advance across 40 different hexes every turn, those are the ratios we need, right? That's fine. Sure, it sucks that in a couple areas we got pushed back, but a lot of times where they have those counterattacks, it was actually territory that we took from them that turn. So the net change ends up being 0, and then everywhere else where they don't counterattack is a net benefit to us where we did take the territory. So, sitting here optimistic about how things are going. Leningrad, looking just at the visual here, you see the graphics of the city. It'd be so nice to break out here, but that's not the focus, right? The focus is not to push south from Leningrad on to Lenin, which is down here. The focus is to cut off Riga, to cut off Peskov, as nice as this visual is. Just about wrapped up with our supply phase. And now we get to our end of turn summary. So 48,000 men lost, again, continuing to lower this number. It had gotten up to, I think, 80 at one point, so I'm good seeing that. 877 guns lost, 282 armored fighting vehicles lost. That's about half of what we'd been averaging for a while. 500 airframes lost, again, that's about half. Order of battle changes, we stayed about flat on men, positive in guns, positive in armor, and lost 52 airframes in net. Whereas the Germans were positive 6,000 men, positive about 180 for guns and armor, and flat on airframes. Low supply jumped up to 112. I think it was around 80 or 90 in the previous turn. So that's a little disappointing to see. But I think one of the reasons we had these lower losses in guns and armor platforms and men is that kind of the southern half of our front line by Stalino, we chose to simply hold. Right, which we've done a couple of times throughout the series, and I think it's going to be for our benefit where we have the numerical advantage, we have the initiative, but if we take just a couple of turns to refit our forces, I think that will allow us to really push more strongly as we are quickly approaching the summer months of the campaign. And that's when the most severe fighting, I think, is going to happen. Let's take a look at the new events that have happened. The mighty 8th Air Force continues to bomb the Germans in Europe. The Axis air sit back in North Africa, so it looks like things aren't going their way. They're probably not committing as much as they should in the theater box. So the campaign events are now moved forward, which means an invasion of Sicily, then Italy, and the removal of the Germans from North Africa. All of those things get moved up a little. And then Soviet partisans continue their good work behind enemy lines. So I think we're going to call the episode here. Thank you as always for giving the video and the series a watch, and your interaction as well with the community. Should you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will do my best to address them, and I love hearing from you guys. And with that, strategy gamers, wishing all of you an excellent day. Bye now.